Greetings, everyone. Marcus Da Costa here, and I wanted to record this video because something very interesting has happened in the world, and it points to some of the things which I've been teaching for some time and arguing for some time, which I have taken from the Bible. So I believe there are people in the world who are exercising to a certain degree some of the principles which I've found in the Bible and I've been advocating for some time, which, if you're not zealous for the word, you may find to be radical. And I'll explain what it is now. You may have heard of the situation with GameStop. For those of you who are not familiar, I'll explain what it is. From my understanding, GameStop is a company which we don't have in this country. And the company has a stock. Now hedge funds, like very powerful hedge funds, what they were doing with the stock is they were shorting the stock. Now, shorting is a term which is used for those who desire to make money by driving down the price of the stock. So if you want to short something, you are essentially making a bet that the stock price and value is going to go down, and as it goes down, you make money. But as you be open shorts upon stocks, you are effectively helping to drive the price down. And so, in whatever nation it is, there is this company which is on the stock exchange, and hedge funds are shorting the stock. Right. Obviously, if the stock continues to go down, people who are not hedge funds, who own the stock, ultimately lose money. They ultimately lose money. The company which issues the stock loses money. People who work for the company whose stock is being driven down lose money, lose their jobs, so on and so forth. But there is this platform called Reddit. You may have heard of it before, or maybe even use it. I've been on there. I've seen it. I've heard of it. And in this Reddit platform, there's a community of people called Wall Street Bets, who are essentially a group of people on Reddit who have decided that what they're going to do, having found out that there are these hedge funds which are driving down the price, what they are going to do is they are going to collect themselves together, come together as one people, one voice, and use their economic energy together to drive up the price of the stock and ultimately liquidate the short selling hedge fund. Now, some of that may be terms which I'm using which are foreign to you, but essentially one hedge fund is driving the price down. The people, the individuals on the thread came together and said, we are going to drive the price up and ultimately bring to an end this hedge fund which is destroying this company through and destroying this stock through short selling. And it worked. But what was interesting is, as they were doing this, the company who they were using to buy the stock took away on the platform their ability to buy any more. So the button they would use to press buy, they couldn't press anymore. All they could do was sell. In other words, even though they were smarter than the hedge fund, they collectively put more economic energy, just a group of individuals, they put more economic energy into a stock than a hedge fund. The platform they were on to do this obviously yielded to the voice of the powers that be, and therefore took away their ability to continue to buy a stock, which was the purpose of the platform in the first place. What that says to me, what it said to other people, is ultimately the game is rigged. The game is rigged. If you didn't know the game was rigged, do a search on this situation. You will see that the game is rigged. It's rigged to the degree that there can be collusion all around to drive prices of stocks in one direction, and the bag holder, the ultimate person who suffers, would be your retail investor, people like you and I. They will suffer. But when you and I come together and collectively agree, we're going to come together and do the opposite. And we win, the retail win. They take away your ability to continue. So they can cheat, they can collude, they can come together, but the people can't. But I'm teaching ultimately not about, and speaking not about stocks, not about bonds, not about shares, none of that. What I'm speaking about today is the fact that I've been speaking about the need for Israel to come together, for Israel to be of one heart, to be of one mind, to do things for yourself, which ultimately ceases the feeding of the beast that will ultimately come to swallow you whole. I've been speaking about, brothers and sisters, the discipleship diet, living a theocultural lifestyle where more of your food comes from the ground that you are living on, or from the dirt and soil that you buy, than you going to the store, buying your food, and the store that you buy your food from is intentionally withholding information from you so you can know what is in the food that you're buying from them. In other words, if we have a kingdom mindset, then what we do is we practice being royal. We practice being priests, set apart people who are dependent solely on the Most High and not on the institutions of men, serving the Most High and not on a structure and a system which seeks to grow, like cancerously grow upon you and seep your life source away. These are the things that I've been speaking about for a long time. Having the ability to be set apart from the world while connecting to the Father and what it looks like. Now, as an individual, that may be terrifying because you're alone. But if Israel, the disciples of Yeshua, choose to come together and join as one and distribute their economic resources amongst themselves, which is why I created the group Buy, Sell, Supply House of Israel, then what you do is, as you are stepping out forward, as you are prospering financially, accumulating wealth, as the point where you need to spend, your first port of call is to find someone who is part of the body for you to spend it with. See, what is happening, if you haven't noticed, is the brethren, especially those who are in the position where they need to work and serve mammon, are serving for the mammon and then taking their mammon and feeding the very dragon which is consuming them, as opposed to collating and gathering resources that you need and putting them directly back into the kingdom. And you may say, well, what companies can I put my money in? This is where you and I come in. This is where we should have a network of people who are entrepreneurs, who are business owners, who are mindful about gaps in the market and niches whereby brethren can support one another. This was a great example of the things which I have been speaking about for a long time. The existence of the infrastructure of oppression is solely based upon the people yielding and giving it license to exist. Which is why when the saints of the Most High decide that they are going to manifest, when the sons of the living God decide and make the decision, we are going to manifest, we're going to step out in faith, blam, the kingdom comes. Because the gospel of the kingdom will reach the four corners of the earth so the end can come. The end of the age. Yeshua can return because of the restitution of all things. And all of us, brothers and sisters, have a part to play in that. If a group of people, individuals, can turn around and say, you know what? We are going to passively attack this particular unrighteousness, what they perceive to be unrighteousness, and they're successful, they're ultimately doing what the Bible speaks about and has embedded within it. Not forsaking the gathering together, going from house to house, abiding under the doctrine of the apostles, having all things common, no man assigning each of their possessions as their own, but sharing, being in a community, having one mind, one heart, one spirit, one baptism, one Lord. That, brothers and people and sisters, are a people who are terrifying to the enemy. And they're terrifying to the enemy, which is why the purpose and function of the system we are in is to divide, is to conquer, is to set people apart, is to box people. No longer are you just male and female. You're male, you're female, you're this, you're that, you're the other, non-binary, transgender, all of these things now, for the purpose of, let's put people over here. You're black, you're white, you're Asian, you're South American, you're Latino, you're African, you're African American. All of this kind of stuff to divide you. There is a lot that we can do right now, brothers and sisters, to help press the kingdom forward, and we all have a part in it. And it's going to require us to have an understanding that tomorrow ain't guaranteed. Tomorrow ain't guaranteed. Next week ain't guaranteed. Next month ain't guaranteed. Live, walk out your purpose today. People can say, oh, well, they can try and protect themselves from, they can have a fear of death and therefore protect themselves and stay in the closet, stay under the bushel, stay not on the shelf, on the lampstand, when really all you're doing is the opposite Messiah said to do. You're trying to preserve your life. But in preserving your life, you'll lose it. The Most High has the best hands for you to put your life in. And if we just, like, we're getting a glimpse into the fact that this whole way of doing things, the way that things are being done, is coming to an end. It's coming to an end. And we're transitioning into a new way of doing things. And you have to decide, am I going to be guided into this new way of doing things by ungodly people? Or am I going to allow the Most High to guide me wherever He determines me to go? I know what I'm doing. I'm hoping and praying that I continue to be guided and led by the Most High, that I can be a leader to my wife, to my children. I can be a voice for them and for anyone else who has ears to hear. But these are things that I've been saying, and I just wanted to share the example that I've seen over the last week and connect it to the very things I've seen in the scripture. I said it this week. Messiah builds his church upon the revelation that he is Messiah. He is the Son of God. And the Messiah's church is the assembly of the called out ones. The called out ones, those who have been called, those who have been chosen, need to assemble. They need to come together. Whether that's physically, whether that's mentally, in the heart, in the mind, whatever the case may be. But we need to be one people. We need to look at the problems that the world is facing, knowing we have the solution, and address the solutions as one people. Shalom.